January, a man in Philadelphia walked up to an ATM he'd used 100 times. He put his card in, he punched in his number, the machine whirred, it made the sound, that mechanical grinding every one of us knows, and then nothing came out. He waited, he hit cancel, he tried again. Eventually, he decided the machine was broken and walked away. What he didn't know was the money had come out. It was sitting 4 inches behind the slot, held there by a strip of metal and a piece of double-sided tape that cost less than $1. And the man who installed that strip was watching him from across the street, waiting for him to give up and leave so he could walk over, peel it off, and pocket the cash. But that strip of tape is the cheap version, because somewhere across the country on that exact same night, a different kind of criminal walked up to a different ATM, opened it with a key you can buy online, plugged something in, and made the machine spit out every bill inside it onto the floor. No card, no victim standing there at all. They just made the ATM empty itself. They call it jackpotting. That man is not a hacker. He doesn't know how to code. He found a way to steal your money after the bank already gave it to you and leave you blaming the machine. It's called cash trapping, and right now it is spreading across the country faster than the banks want you to know. I'll show you how both work and the 4-second check that stops them cold. But the real question is, why, just as these traps spread, are you being pushed off cash entirely? Those two things are connected. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. How something this stupid actually works. You'd think a scam in 2026 would need software. A skimmer, a hidden camera, some Russian server in a basement. That's what we've been trained to look for. Cash trapping needs none of it. Sometimes all the fraudsters need is a metal strip and double-sided tape. The device, criminals call it a glue trap, is a thin false shutter slipped over the cash slot. When you try to withdraw, the ATM thinks the transaction completed, but the cash is trapped inside the device. And here's the genius of it. It blocks the cash even while the ATM makes the noises that suggest money is being dispensed. The grinding, the counting, your brain hears that sound and assumes the machine is working. So when nothing appears, you don't think theft, you think malfunction. That single misread is the entire scam. The victim assumes a technical issue and leaves. Once they walk away, the scammers return, remove the trap, and collect the blocked cash. No card stolen, no PIN captured, no data breach, just your physical money, taken from a 4-inch gap while you drive home, annoyed at your bank. Now stay with me, because there are 2 types of these things, and one of them you cannot see. There are Type 1 traps and Type 2 traps. The Type 1 is visible, but you won't be able to tell it apart from the real dispenser. The Type 2 is placed inside the machine, invisible to you completely. You can do everything right, look the machine over, see nothing wrong, and the trap is sitting behind the slot where your eyes will never reach. Which raises the obvious question, if you can't always see it, how is anyone supposed to stop it? Hold that thought, because first, you need to understand how fast this is moving. Chapter 2. From one city to a franchise. For years, this was a quiet overseas problem. Then it crossed the ocean. Last summer, Plano, Texas became a focal point. Surveillance footage captured a man installing a nearly invisible metal plate over an ATM cash slot. His name was Ionut Orel Iova, and the footage showed something that should chill you. He didn't just install it once. He returned, reclaimed the trapped notes, and reset the device for the next victim. It wasn't a hit. It was a machine he was running. One ATM, a victim after the victim, all day long. But Plano was just the test. Watch what happened next. This past March, the same scam exploded in Philadelphia. At least 9 incidents were reported across the city since mid-March, with machines tampered with in stores and neighborhoods citywide. And the police noticed a pattern in the timing that tells you these people know exactly what they're doing. The devices are typically installed over weekends when banks are closed and victims have difficulty reporting the missing funds immediately. By the time you call Monday morning, the trap is long gone, and so is your cash. Now here's the part the investigators said out loud, the part that turns this from a local story into your problem, wherever you're watching from. The low-tech nature is exactly what makes it so dangerous. The devices are cheap, fast to install, and easy to replicate in other cities. Authorities warned the scheme could easily spread, and noted similar schemes have already surfaced elsewhere in the US and overseas, often run by organized groups targeting high-traffic ATMs. Cheap, fast, copyable. That's not a crime. That's a franchise. And it's working because it's hiding inside a much bigger wave of ATM crime that almost nobody connects together. Chapter 3. The Bigger Wave. Nobody is connecting because cash trapping is just the low-tech cousin of what's happening at the high end, and the numbers there are staggering. There's a method called jackpotting where criminals don't trap your cash. They force the machine to vomit out all of it. The FBI says nearly 1,900 jackpotting attacks have been reported since 2020, with more than a third happening in a single recent year, and losses topping $20 million. The Justice Department has now tied some of it to organized criminal networks moving the stolen cash across borders to launder it. Then there's the version that's eating people alive financially, the crypto ATM scam. And this is where it stops being about machines and starts being about fear. A scammer calls, convinces the victim their money is in danger, and tells them the only safe move is to secure it by withdrawing cash and feeding it into a Bitcoin ATM. They walk you through it step by step. You scan a QR code, and the cash flies straight into their wallet, often overseas, where recovery is nearly impossible. An 85-year-old woman in Texas, Fran Bates, lost $40,000 to one of these calls. Afterwards, she said, "If you had to listen to it, you would wonder, what's going on with that woman? Doesn't she realize what they're doing to her? No, you don't. You don't. That's the whole point. These scams are built so that while you're inside them, they feel like the rescue." And the scale? In 2025, the FBI's Crime Center received more than 13,400 complaints tied to these machines, with losses exceeding $388 million. More than half of those victims were over 50, who alone reported losses of more than $388 million from machines that were sold to us as convenience. So here's where you'd expect the story to go. Use cards instead, go cashless, problem solved. And that is exactly the assumption I need you to question, because the people pushing hardest for you to abandon cash may not be doing it for the reason you think. Chapter 4. The war on cash was never about your safety. Watch this pivot carefully. Every time a cash scam makes the news, the same message follows close behind. Just go digital. Tap your phone. Stop carrying cash. It's safer. It sounds like protection, and for a lot of everyday purchases, sure, it's convenient. But there's a school of thought, and it's not coming from fringe people, it's coming from economists and authors who study this, that says the war on cash was never really about your safety. The argument goes like this: a cashless system is fully trackable. Every transaction you make becomes a data point, collected by corporations and governments. Critics describe it as a concerted campaign to push people toward a digital mode of commerce that can be monitored, tracked, mined for data, and, when convenient, frozen or confiscated. The economist Steve Forbes put it bluntly. He said the real reason for the war on cash, starting with the big bills and working down, is a power grab. That electronic commerce makes it easier for the government to see what you're doing, and therefore easier to bar the things it doesn't like. Now you don't have to swallow that whole. But consider just the practical risk. Set politics aside. A cashless system is vulnerable to hacking, breaches, and outages. The 2017 Equifax breach exposed the personal information of 147 million people. When your money is only ever a number on a server, every one of those breaches is a door into your account. And here's the quiet irony of this entire video. The same digital infrastructure that's pitched as the escape from cash scams is the thing that gave us the Bitcoin ATM, the single most expensive scam machine on this list. We didn't get safer. We just moved the trap from the cash slot to the screen, which is exactly why the people with the most money to lose never went all in on digital in the first place. Chapter 5. What the wealth actually do. Here's something the wealthy understand that the rest of us are being talked out of. They keep cash, real cash. The standard advice from people like Kevin O'Leary is to hold 3 to 6 months of expenses in money you can actually get your hands on, a safety net that exists outside the system. And O'Leary draws a hard line that most people miss. He says you'd be amazed how many wealthy people claim to be rich but have no liquidity, and that real security comes from money you can actually access. Liquidity. Access. Money that doesn't depend on a machine working, a server staying up, or a bank approving your withdrawal at the exact moment you need it. The lesson isn't cash good, cards bad. It's that the moment you have only one way to reach your own money, someone else controls the valve. Cash trapping controls the slot. The Bitcoin scam controls your fear, and a fully cashless account controls the whole faucet. The wealthy hedge against all three by never being fully dependent on any single one, so you keep both. You use cards where they're safe and convenient, and you never let yourself be in a position where one trapped ATM or one frozen account or one server outage stands between you and every dollar you own. That's the real defense, not picking a side in the cash versus card war, refusing to be cornered by either. Chapter 6. The 4-second check that makes you immune. So let me give you what I promised at the start. The 4-second check that makes the cash trap almost useless against you. Before you ever insert your card, look at the cash slot. A trapping device closes the dispensing hole with a metal or plastic cover. If the slot is taped, blocked, or doesn't look right, do not use that machine. 4 seconds. That's the whole inspection. And here's the one rule that matters most, the rule that man in Philadelphia didn't know. If the machine takes your transaction but no cash comes out, do not walk away. The moment you leave, the thief takes your money. Stay at the machine. Call your bank using the number on the ATM. Then the bank can review the logs and footage, confirm the trap, and refund you, often within days. Walking away is the only thing that turns a failed withdrawal into a successful theft. Stay and call, and the scam collapses. Payoff. So the man from the beginning, the one who put his card in, heard the grinding, and walked away annoyed. He didn't lose his money at the ATM. He lost it the second he turned his back. So the next time you stand in front of one of these screens, hearing that familiar sound of your money being counted, ask yourself one quiet question. Is the machine working for me right now, or is somebody across the street waiting for me to walk away?